Hi, everyone. My name is John, and this is Truth Tuesday. You know, every relationship needs good quality time together to connect. You need good quality time together with your spouse. You need good quality time together with your kids. You need good quality time together with your friends, right? I mean, even if it's not one-on-one time with your friend group, you still need time with that friend group. Otherwise, your friendship or your acquaintance will fade from them. I have a group of friends from college that we love to get together anytime we can. However, one of my friends lives in Alaska. The other one lives down in Kentucky. Another one lives somewhat near me here in Indianapolis, but it's very, very difficult for us to remain as close as we once were because we don't spend as much time together as we once did. And I think all of us can say that we had friends, whether it was from high school or from college or a previous work environment, that we just aren't as close to because we don't spend as much time together. Well, the same thing can be true for God, is that we need that time, that quiet time, that intentional time that we spend with Him. And maybe your quiet time looks different than somebody else's. Me personally, I try to sit down, read at least one Bible verse. Some days that's all I get because I'm so busy and I should prioritize more time, but I think to myself, I'd rather have a little bit of time than no time at all. And so sometimes all I do is sit down and read a Bible verse, kind of think about it for a little bit. How does this apply to my life? And then say a quick prayer thanking God. And there's other days where I spend much more time. I read through, either an entire chapter or an entire book of the Bible and really think about what that means for my life and try to do some study and some research and really try to sit with God and pray and try to work through some of the things that are going on in my life. And it varies with different seasons. Right now, I'm in a season where I spend more of the kind of a shorter time with God, and I would like to have more time with Him. But the important thing is that we do spend that time with Him. Obviously, we would love to spend an hour to 2 hours every morning praying and reading the Bible, but sometimes that's just not possible to get done. However, what is possible is that we spend at least a little bit of time with God each and every day. And sometimes that time can look different from other times. Sometimes that can be listening to a short podcast like this on your drive in and saying a short prayer, thinking about something that you're talking about with God, or it can be the much longer time. But what I would encourage you to do today is that when you do spend time with God, you come ready and prepared to spend time with Him. Right? You come ready to give the time to God. So that way you are not so focused on something else that you can't spend time with Him. And I think there are 4 important attitudes that we should have when we spend time with God. And these attitudes, fortunately, spell out RAGS, R-A-G-S, RAGS. And I think it's important that we look at these things. So attitude number 1 to have when we spend time with God is respect. We need to respect the time that we have with God. Don't rush into God's presence. Don't think, I get this all together, and so I'm going to read this Bible verse really fast and then move on and go from there. Think about what you're doing. Take time and respect the time that you have with God. Prepare your heart by being still with Him and letting the quietness clear away throughout the world. We were talking about this in staff meeting just today, is that, we have to be ready in our hearts to spend time with God, which is difficult. We're trying to get the kids ready for church in the morning, and this kid doesn't have any underwear. Well, this kid can't find his other shoe, and it's difficult to try and get our hearts ready for that. But there's preparation we can do on the Saturday night before to make sure that we're ready to spend time with God in the morning on Sunday morning. And in the same way with our private time as well. If you need to set out your clothes the night before, so that way you have more time to spend with God in the morning, you do that. If you need to make a overnight oats, so that way you have a breakfast prepared and ready for you so you can spend more time with God, then you do that. Respect the time that you have with God and be ready for it. The book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 20 says, "But the Lord is in His temple, let all the earth be silent before Him." Let us be ready. Let us take a moment where there is silence around us, where we can really focus on God. Whether that's 5 minutes, whether that's 20 minutes, whether that's 60 minutes, whatever it might be, take some time to quietly come to God and be prepared for that to happen. The next mood, or the next thing that we need to have, next attitude, that we need to have is alertness. Right? Get wide awake. Don't be going to God with the crusty still in your eyes and you don't know what's going on exactly. Be wide awake and be ready and be prepared to come to God. Remember that you are actually meeting with the Creator, the Maker of the universe, of heaven and earth, the universe, the Redeemer of men. And so we need to be thoroughly rested and ready to come to Him. The book of Psalms, chapter 89, verse 7 says this: "The highest angelic powers stand in awe of God. He is far more awesome than all who surround His throne." So we need to be alert and ready to come to Him. The next attitude, and this is one that is sometimes difficult for us, but very important, is gladness. Gladness, to be glad to come to God during this time, to not look at it as an obligation, to look at it as an opportunity to come and be with God. So you come before God with anticipation and eagerness, ready and excited about the time that you get to spend with Him. The book of Psalms, chapter 63, verse 1 says, "O God, you are my God. I earnestly search for you. My soul thirsts for you. My whole body longs for you in this parched and weary land where there is no water." And that's the truth. There is nothing that will quench us. There is nothing that will provide what we need like God. Our hearts long for Him. Every single heart, every single person has a longing for the divine and the everlasting, and God is the only one that can fulfill that. People will try to fulfill it in different ways. They'll try to fulfill it through meditation or through these mind experiments and yoga and these different things, but really in reality, the only one who can truly satisfy our divine and everlasting desire is God. The last one is to be selfless. To be selfless. You don't come to your quiet time to choose what you will do or not do, but with the purpose of doing anything and everything that God wants you to do. You don't come to your quiet time saying, all right, well, I'm going to try and find a reasoning that I can do this in my life, or why I don't have to do this to my spouse, or why I don't have to treat my kids like this. But you would come selfless and ready to receive what God has to deliver to you. The book of John, chapter 7, verse 17 says, "Anyone who wants to do the will of God will know whether my teaching is from God or merely my own." And that's a struggle. That's a struggle to find out, is this something that I want, or is this something that God wants? And I've done this myself, where I've gone to others and said, hey, how do you personally feel about this? And I just had this conversation with somebody the other day, and they said, John, that's kind of silly. I don't know why you would want to do that. And I said, no, I don't want to do that. But I want to make sure that I'm not going to God with what I want to do, but that I'm earnestly going to Him and doing what He wants me to do. And that's important for us to do in our quiet time. When we read the Bible verses or when we say the prayer, we go to God with reverence and respect for Him, that we are selfless enough to say, this is what God wants, so this is what I will pursue with my life. And that's not always an easy thing to do, right? Sometimes you're in your job and your boss tells you something that you don't want to do. And you don't want to do it. So maybe you try to skirt by it and not do that thing. Or maybe your kids have something that you need to do, but you don't want to do it. So you try to skirt by it in some way. But the thing that you can rest assured on is that God is with you through it all. He is caring for you through it all. He is caring. He is compassionate. And He is there for you. He understands what you're going through. He knows what life has to throw at you, and He will be there with you through it all. I hope this Truth Tuesday was helpful for you, and I hope you will spend today, tomorrow, and the next day with some quiet time, whether it's 5 minutes, whether it's 50 minutes, that you would spend some quiet time with God, being respectful, being alert, being glad, and being selfless. Thanks for listening.